Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys Bioshock Infinite Motorized Patriot concept figure. For those fans of the Bioshock series, it's been awesome to see that NECA has been producing concept figures and really just regular figures from the Bioshock franchise. This Motorized Patriot comes with a lot of accessories. He comes with a mini Gatling gun kind of thing, and he comes with a very impressive American flag. I can't wait to get this opened up. He also does come with an alternate face too, which is something that we'll of course look at when we get the figure out of packaging. On this very large packaging, the back of it features, once again, interchangeable head. The read-up says, "The Motorized Patriot is a testament to the technical prowess and power of Columbia. Originally constructed by Fink MFG, Fink Manufacturer, possibly to serve as the tour guide for the residents of Columbia, the Motorized Patriots now serve as a standing guard for the entire city. Fearless and unrelenting without a shred of self-preservation, the Patriots will track down and eliminate any opposition without remorse. Will you be able to find the right combination to defeat these automated monstrosities? Time will tell." And on the underside here, be sure to also check out Irrational Games, 2K Games, and of course the folks over at NECA at www.necaonline.com. Spot's going to take a break. Can't wait to get this opened up. And when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Motorized Patriot. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The Motorized Patriot is by far a love letter to the fans of the Bioshock series. He does come with a lot of different accessories, and some of which we will look at individually, or in the cases of like the flag, for example, we'll look at once we've looked at the figure as a whole. Because once you start adding the flag, it definitely gives a lot of extra stuff to the Patriot. But I just want to show you guys like the flags, for example. If anyone was to tell you, or anyone was to ask, you know, what do NECA produce? You know, do you have any good examples of NECA toys I want to get into collecting? I mean, this by far is, it shows, you know, their level of progress, their level of detail, the level of care. I mean, the fact that you get like even a canvas materialed flag, it's a phenomenal, like it's a spectacular piece. It is hung from a flagpole with a pointed tip. It's not too sharp or anything like that, but you can see really nice metallic silver at the top of the flag pole. But you get two of these, and actually these get mounted onto the back. Now, the reason why I don't want to show you guys just yet, because we want to look at like all the articulation, all the details and stuff like that, and then we will put the flags in. But they sit just in these sockets right there. There's one on either side of this cog, this gear with the belt here. But I'll show you those in a second. I'm just going to put those to the side because, again, there's going to be a lot that we're going to be having a look at. Why don't we first have a look at its face? I say its face because it is not really a real person. It's, you know, a mechanized, mechanized Patriot. It's a great looking piece. Again, if somebody was to say, you know, do you have an example of something that NECA is producing so I can get a feel for, you know, the kind of work that they do, I would probably show them something like this. You can probably not be necessarily into Bioshock as a whole. Maybe you don't even play Bioshock. But you can really appreciate something like this. I mean, the cracks and paints on the face, very, very impressive. I also like the way his eyes are placed. Whereas one eye is partially closed, the other eye is kind of open and dead to really some extent. But like, look at the really neat cracks in the face of the Patriot here. And then on the side there, more of those cracks. And then when you start really getting out to the rest of his body, he's got like the vintage you know, the vintage jacket going on there with the rolled cuffs and the front cuffed area buttoned in there, and all that gold in the buttons that they've used, and the seams there as well. I mean, it's such a beautiful looking piece. And then when you start looking at all the other components, it's something where if you look at it, there's so many things that you're looking at that you're probably not going to be able to take it all in one go. Like, you have to, it's a figure that I would be looking at, and I'd have in hand, be looking at probably for the next couple of hours, just looking at all the individual details, the creases in the sleeves, the paint in the cuffs, the frills around the cuffs, the aged and dirtied, it looks almost like a gunpowder debris that's on the lower legs of the Patriot. Again, I want to say him, but it's not really a him. And then when you start getting down to the mechanized exposed areas of the Patriot, it's really when you see how much NECA shines at producing figures. Again, not only are they super articulated, but keeping in mind, it's an articulated figure that has exposed robotic pieces. And sometimes hit or miss with depending on what companies approach it, but NECA really seamed the two together between super articulated figure and super detailed figure. And right, actually, even on the inside of the boot, could have easily had molded the boot to the bottom piece of the leg here, but they did keep it as a separate piece. And looking inside, you can see the singular tube that's connecting to the lower leg area there. That, again, is just a level of detail because it looks like the boot is more of a separate piece as opposed to, yeah, we've just molded a boot onto an existing robotic leg. It's got like a vintageness to it. It's got like a steampunk look to it. It's really a sight to be seen. Now, it has like a belt on the back here. I would imagine that, again, this would be spinning. It doesn't spin or anything like that. This material here is like a pliable plastic, like rubbery plastic. But again, like don't be pulling and trying to remove this or anything like that. Then he's got some gold cording that's coming down from the bottom area here as well. Again, really all of it is just such phenomenal pieces, areas to the figure itself. Why don't we actually look at the articulation, because then again there's other stuff I'll be able to show you guys. Articulation on the mechanized Patriot here. The head does rotate. There is a ball joint at the top. There's a ball joint in the neck here. And between the two, you can get a lot of posing in the Motorized Patriot's head. Equally so when you get to these shoulders. Shoulders are on a hinge and pin and socket joint. This one arm is a little stiffer than this one, so I'm not going to move it too much, but it does move forward and back. It does also move out. Equally, he has the same hinge in the elbow, which bends. It kind of limits it right to about here because the creases and folds in the jacket do hinder some movement in his arms. Hands do rotate as well. And I guess really you could rotate the arms slightly, but again, just a little limited by the jacket area there. When you get to this side is robotic. I guess really to that matter, all of him is, again, a motorized robotic piece. But I look at the sleeves on the Patriot here, how the sleeves have been ripped away, exposing the motorized components to the Patriot. And you can see how this is just all like a separate loose rubber piece. I mean, really, the sleeve as a whole is just a separate loose piece from the real arm that's underneath. And again, it's a really nice touch. The thing you have to be, though, is careful. I find the leg is a little more durable, but I find with the arm does rotate. In fact, it does rotate actually at the elbow, and it does hinge at the elbow itself. But because there is such a small pull connecting the arm to the top of the socket, I would say be very careful and gingerly try to bend that arm just to loosen up before you start doing too much with it. Also some gears on the side there as well, which I don't know if I actually touched the base on. Swivel, no, in the waist. Not really much in the way of swiveling in the waist. There probably is, but I wouldn't be putting too much pressure on here to kind of rotate it. You don't want to be crushing or damaging the back section here. Legs do go out forward slightly because the curve of the sculpt in his lower torso doesn't really allow the leg to move forward too much, but it does move back, and it slightly does move out. It swivels at the thigh, and then it has a hinge in the knee, and then finally a hinged foot, which also rotates as well. So there's the Motorized Patriot just as you see right here. Now again, being it's also NECA, NECA's going to throw in all this extra stuff as well for you. For starters, you can take his head off and just pop it off. And I'm glad that the socket is easier to come off from the neck and not from the head. Because to try to get that head off from this pin, this bar that has the ball joint on either side, it would be too much hassle. But NECA, the alternate head that they give you, does have the exact same setup, so you don't have to worry about changing that right away. And that section, you have to be very, very careful. I think actually I just popped one of the sections off right there. That's right, we can just glue it back in. I was going to say, be very careful putting it in. Don't be putting a lot of pressure. See this little gear, little cog popped off. But again, I'll just glue that back into place. But you just take this and pop it into its socket, and there you have the alternate head for the Motorized Patriot. You can see one eye is missing. Nice gold coloring that matches the gold that they used for not only the arms but the lower leg area there. It's a nice look. I prefer, and actually there's the back of it right there. Kind of looks like the back of like a piano, like all the little pedals and stuff like that. I love it. It's just such a great look. As much as I like the alternate head, still kind of got to give props to the original head that comes included. I probably would keep this head on more so than I would keep the alternate head. Just pull that off there and pop this normal head on. There we go. The other thing that you'll get for accessories is this. And if I just get the Patriot to stand properly, there we go. You get this really neat kind of Gatling minigun. Something that is like an amalgamation of like old world tech and new world tech. It really has like that steampunk look to it. And there's the top section. Actually, I was holding it the wrong way. There's the top section of it right there. This section opens, this kind of section folds open, but it really doesn't do anything. There is also a little handle on the side, and when you rotate it, it does actually rotate the barrels of the gun. And again, such a great looking weapon. You do a little finagling to get the Patriot to hold it, because again, you have to rotate his arm very carefully and to get him to hold the one side. And then again, his hand on the other side is going to hold it together. The end result is something that looks like this. And how incredible does that look? The Patriot is holding the one end of the Gatling gun with his, well, one hand. And then the other hand got it on the gear, what he would be rotating to spin the gun. That's probably, again, how I'm going to have him displayed. Again, it's such a great piece. And again, there's so much to look at it on the Patriot itself. Final look has the Patriot with both flags in the socket area there. And you can see, like, first of all, it takes up a fair bit of space once you start factoring in the flags and everything like that on the back of them. But because the flags aren't a plastic and they actually had used a real material, it doesn't make them back heavy. It doesn't make them back heavy at all. But it's such a great looking piece. I mean, like, there's the back of him with the poles sitting in those sockets. It's such a great, beautiful piece. Not necessarily something that's geared towards just the people that followed the Bioshock and love the franchise of Bioshock. But you know what? Just as an action figure collector, you would definitely want to get something like this. It takes so many elements that personally Spot likes. I love the steampunk. I love like vintage Civil War and, you know, like the old vintage clothing and stuff like that. And I love robots. So this is right up my alley. It's a pretty articulated figure. You kind of have to be a little careful with some of the joints. And again, do be careful when handling the alternate head that you don't actually pop off anything like Spot did. But great Great piece from the folks over at NECA Toys. I'm going to give the Motorized Patriot concept figure here, I'm going to give it a 9.5. It goes to show that you don't actually have to necessarily follow the property. If you aren't into Bioshock, you can still get yourself a really phenomenal figure that looks great on a shelf. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the NECA Bioshock Motorized Patriot concept figure. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.